All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus. How are you doing today? The Bible says that there is time for everything and a season for every time under the heaven, under the sun. There is time for everything. There is a season for everything under the sun. Now, this it's not really as if anybody is happy that these stories are coming out. But one thing is clear that my people used to say that whenever you see a child who is in the middle of the road and is crying and pointing at a certain direction, one thing is clear is either his father or his mother, or at least a close relation, is in that direction where the child is pointing towards. So this woman also came out because Lovy'S sued her for $10 million. The woman called it 10 million doll hairs. All right, but she produced a lot of evidence and receipts, some of the ones that she could release here, and her confidence is frightening because places like America is not like Nigeria, where the mighty and the strong can trample and stampede the poor and the weak with money bags and federal whatever agency that they can buy. So here the woman said she knows her rights and that everything she has said and she is saying, she would back them up with evidence. Now, there is one thing about this whole thing, both the story of E.J. Newton, that of Gigi Rodriguez, and that of Kathy, and now this woman. One thing that is very evident is that the truth lies in somewhere in between. Now, I wouldn't know what the outcome would be in court, but whatever it is, the situation will never remain the same again. Well, I would like you to listen to the woman yourself and hear what she has to say. It is still all about Lovey Elias. I've always said that the Bible gave us what we can look at. We don't actually need to know some persons intimately, or I mean closely, before we be able to discern what kind of person or persons that they are. Jesus told us one thing, and that is clear enough: the fruits, the fruits. So, by their fruits you shall know them, and it is a natural phenomenon that a mango fruit cannot fall from an apple tree, and no fruit ever falls far away from its source. I'll leave you with this, and I want you to listen to this lady. I want to know what you think about it in the comment section. Thank you and God bless you. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you, Shalom.
So here we are. Mr. Lowe is suing me for 10 million doll hairs. But here's the thing about that. There are rights that protect people like me and the rest of the other people that you are scaring to stay silent, to the other people that you are scaring to stay silent, that know what you're doing is not going to happen. It's not going to work. You know why? Because truth doesn't fear exposure. Let me enlighten you. I'm going to say it like he likes to say it to these African bloggers that are ignorant to American laws. The First Amendment protects our right to speak the truth and share your personal experience. Okay? In fact, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And as I've said from the genesis of this all, I can back up every word that I've said. By the way, if you haven't already, go to my Instagram and watch my highlight reels and catch up. You can't just slap anybody with a lawsuit. There are anti-slap laws that protect people like me from being silenced through meritless, baseless lawsuits meant to intimidate and silence. You can't just sue somebody into silence when they're telling the truth, especially when it's about matters of public concern. Here's the problem for this unsavory sex cult leader and his crew. Whoa. And his legal defense. Because at this point, I don't believe he's being truthful with them either. Not only am I telling the truth, but now that you've tagged me in, I'm here to back up every single word, as I said I would. Unlike this God-claiming con man who shares his side of things, I'm not here to tell a side. They say there's two sides to every story. Then there's these receipts. Let's start with why I left. Contrary to this narrative that he's told others after I left, which is that I betrayed him by telling his then live-in girlfriend, now wife's friend, that he was cheating on her and that he didn't know why I left because he was so kind to me and he gave me things. I left because I firsthand experienced everything that you've heard from Gigi, everything that you've heard from EJ, and all the other women that are coming out. It's all true. How do you know this, Jax? Because I experienced and witnessed these things prior to EJ ever leaving and prior to Gigi ever existing. Back when I was part of this community, I truly believed everything that he said to me. When he said, I love you, I believed it. When he said he cared about my future, I believed it. When he spent time teaching me things, I believed that he was well-meaning. I believed all of it. I trusted him. And although I saw error and things were presented to me from people close to him, you tend to overlook things. You believe in somebody, you know? It wasn't even my first time of this happening to me, but that's just where I was. Because at this point, I had traveled coast to coast in ministry. I had been alongside many ministers, many prophetic people, prophets, apostles, you name it, right? I had seen a lot. Things that you don't think that happen behind the scenes with men and women of God that stand behind a pulpit, that put their hands on people, that prophesy to people, that are extremely accurate, that you see God doing miracles through. You wouldn't believe what I've seen. And I'll share it one day when the timing is right and when I'm led. But you got to understand something. Those people that stand behind those pulpits that you allow yourself to idolize, they are human beings with error. And that's something that we need to learn, is that they are also human and they fall short just like you and I do. So it wasn't odd for me to see error. So when I was seeing these things, I was one, overlooking it, but I was also like, okay, Anne, like, I've seen this all before. It doesn't disqualify God from using him. And my whole thing was, I'm going to receive what I came to get. And that was the knowledge of the things of God. That was my intention when I came to know this man, when I came to know the things that he's doing. I believe now in retrospect and now being years removed, is that these kind of organizations fiercely abuse this idea that we should overlook or that we should see a man in error and overlook things. I think it's abuse. I think there's a balance there, right? And I think it's abuse in the sense that it is capitalizing on the spiritually malnourished and the ignorance of people. So much so that we began covering up abuse and even crimes. We do this when we overlook. And what we do is pray and stay silent. No. Why do we see this in church, but we don't see this in any other place? But there came a very specific moment in time where the scales were removed from my eyes, and I saw him for what he truly was, a manipulator who's only using others for their influence and to capitalize on them financially. I watched as hundreds fell into his trap because of my endorsements, pouring hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into this man, into his vision, because we believed in him. And please understand, in this specific cult, we are groomed and conditioned to believe that this specific property is holy land. And this man is the shadow that covers us in song. And only through him will we be raptured. I know how crazy this sounds. I'm sorry. I can show you where he teaches this, and I've saved it all. I have it all. Even texts and conversations between me and him where he's confirming this to me. The Elias. He is the ancient being who has come to prepare us for this rapture moment. It's funny now, but it's not cool, bro. It's not cool. I still haven't been able to repair the fracture that this caused to my spiritual community that I built with others, that we all believe that I endorsed and brought to him. They trusted me enough to participate in this foolery and gave financially into this circus. And when I found out the truth, when I finally had that moment, I left. No fanfare, no drama. I walked away and I cut all ties. I walked away from people that I had built relationships with that I cared about. I left it all. But let me clear something up right here. I left long before Gigi existed. My departure had nothing to do with them. The narrative that I somehow colluded with these people, nonsense. Not only is that inaccurate, it is a desperate attempt to discredit my own experience that I can prove. Everything that I posted from January 2025 until now has been on my own doing. No collaboration, no influence. Nice try though. So the last straw for me is when Mr. Holy Hustler was having a lunch with my friends that I brought to him. And that's really what broke the illusion for good, because I had been seeing things, but this was like that moment, you know? He tried to deceive my friends that I introduced to him, that I was the very things that he was. Imagine being so puffed up that you think that my people, my friends, the people that know me, that know my character, that trust me, that trusted me enough to believe in you, would trust you over me. Talk about pride. Huh. And in time, I'll show you the unfolding and the evidence of how deceitful and nasty this man is. Because weeks later, he reached out to me to tell me that his angel came to him about me. And the time frame of his angel coming to him was a time frame of him sitting down with my friends, and then proceeded to gaslight me into thinking that something was wrong with me and that it was because I wasn't in full submission to him. Because by this point, I had kind of moved away and I was doing other things. God had me in a different place, right? By the way, this whole thing with my friends was an attempt to cover his tracks, because he knew at this point that I knew about his philandering. But we'll get there. It wasn't until I stumbled across Gigi's content in December about her experience with him that I started piecing it all together. When I spoke to an old friend, the same one at that Malibu lunch with him, I found out about EJ and what EJ had been, and that's when it hit me. The stories lined up almost verbatim to what I experienced and witnessed. And God kept me there long enough for me to see the truth myself. And I really do believe that things unfolded after I left the way that they did, and all of that came out after I left, because had I known the depths of it all, I wouldn't have stayed and I wouldn't have been able to see what I saw and collect what I collected. This place is a high school of gossip, a toxic culture where everyone talk because the corruption starts from the top. It is not a surprise to me that women are still entangled in this man's web of lies, and they're afraid to leave because they're financially dependent. That is part of the manipulation. It's happened before and it's happening now. I can show you women as far back as 2018 and 2019. Catch that. I can show you. One particular girl, he coerced into a long-term relationship, even though she knew about his then girlfriend, living girlfriend at the time, was paying her rent and bills, and knew at the time that she was in need. And she hasn't spoken publicly about this part of her story, but you can find plenty of her content online where she speaks to the cult and the cult leader. And I pray one day that she sees how valuable her story is to the countless women who encounter this nonsense in the church. But back to Gigi and the reason that I spoke up. This narrative that Gigi is hurt because he chose right, this is his words,
and I chose right,
is absurd. It's not about picking one woman over the other. It's about the systematic exploitation and manipulation of countless women. I'm here to talk about the abuse and the corruption that I witnessed and experienced firsthand, and that I know happened to her. So stay tuned, because as I've been saying all along, I'm on your neck all 2025. This man really plays in your face, but I see right through this dark psychology. I studied it for years. I have an extensive background in sales and marketing. Nothing new. This is not new. Thinking he can scare me into silence. Nah. Oh, he got the right one. The one and the two. I'm about to unravel this entire empire built on deceit and manipulation, piece by piece. Lovy'S said, You said too much. Oh my guy, I haven't even said anything. The saying is your best is yet to come. And I do believe that's what's happening for those who have made their exit and they've repented, like they've changed their mind. But as for this crook, I believe his worst has yet to come. Trust me. Buckle up because this is about to get real interesting.